Good morning to all my fellow Americans living on the West Coast, or maybe Americans living on the East Coast who wake up past noon like me. Maybe some Europeans working night shift. There's plenty of people just waking up, and we've got a great race for you to wake up to here in the Super Metroid multi-category tournament. I am Derp. Lunares is running a bit late, it seems. He said he might be a bit late, so hopefully he joins us later. As for the race, we have an any percent all bosses race between Kipp and Timochun. There are, of course, 3 categories this week between all bosses, GT Classic, and 100%. Kipp deferred first veto to Timo, who vetoed GT Classic, and Kipp vetoed Hundo, so we are left with all bosses. So what all bosses is you are going to beat the game while beating every boss and mini boss in the game. So effectively that is any percent, but with Spore Spawn, Crocomire, and Gold Torizo all being defeated. There's a couple routes that we've seen runners do for this. I imagine we see both runners do the sort of hybrid route where we see them going to Fantoon first, then playing through what hybrid route would be normally, where you do your Upper Norfair clear, Dragon and Kraid, then killing Croc and GT on their way to Ridley, and killing Spore Spawn on their way to Turian. That is the most common route. The other route that you may recognize is closer to New Route, which you'll see the world record runner Zost do, where he does Spore Spawn first. But it is more difficult, especially the Spore Spawn fight, and I don't think either of our runners run that route. Nice serious escapes from both runners, both getting a 45. Definitely nice to see in a race. Both of these runners are very good. Kipp, of course, I believe 5th seed. He actually held the record in all bosses for a brief period of time before Zosty took it back from him a few days ago. So he definitely knows the category, and that may be an advantage for him, as if you don't know the category, there's some route-specific tech that you might not be able to execute as well, such as the reverse Turian entry, where you actually enter G4 from Green Brinstar. There's some fun movement there that we'll see if Timochun can pull off, and we'll see if Kipp can show it off. Looks like neither of our runners moonfalling down the parlor, but both are going to be moonfalling down the climb. Maybe some mistakes there, but it's all right. Doesn't save as much time as the climb moonfall anyway. Climb moonfall saves, of course, I believe it's 4 seconds, maybe a little bit less than that, while the parlor moonfall only saves about half a second if done perfectly optimally. And we see our runners only a couple seconds apart so far as they pick up the morph ball. Kipp, of course, the slightly better execution-wise player, going to be a little bit faster in the early game. But Timochun, no slouch either, is not far behind. I believe that's, what, a 2.5 second separation at missiles? There's definitely plenty of time for Timo to catch up. There's a lot of boss fights in this category, and some of them can lose you a lot of time. Luckily, the new bosses, assuming they're both doing the hybrid route like I mentioned, don't actually lose you much time, no matter how you do them, because you have Plasma Beam and are able to one-shot 2 of them, and the third one has a nice little spot where you can sit and do damage without taking any damage yourself. I'll mention those when we get there, but all you need to know is they are fairly easy as long as you have Plasma Beam. However, that doesn't mean Ridley, Fantoon, Dragon, Botwoon can't all lose you time, as you may have anyone in chat who has experience running any percent surely knows that these bosses, if they go wrong, can often go very wrong. And we see Kipp. Looks like he's going to have about a 4:45 bombs time. Timo actually missed the door with a missile, so loses a few seconds going back to get one, but still a nice sub 5 bombs. Going to be about a 4:55, 4:54 even. So despite that little slip up, he is still making solid pace for himself. Now, you may know that skipping Bomb Chorizo is technically possible for tool-assisted runs, but it is not possible for humans. However, even if it was possible, the runners would still have to fight Bomb Chorizo, as it is a mini-boss. Timo not having a great Bomb Chorizo fight. Kipp had a very solid fight, got exactly what you wanted, killed Bomb Chorizo with 7 missiles and 5 shots. Timo, unfortunately, did not get quite as clean of a kill, didn't get as many good drops, and had to finish the fight off with those pea shooter shots, which caused the animation of Bomb Chorizo to lose his head. And yeah, so here you see Kipp's having more experience running the game. One of the things about top runners you'll notice is they rarely make big mistakes early game. And you're seeing Kipp right now going to be entering the elevator at sub 6:15, which is very solid. Almost sub 6:10. I think that was 6:12. I didn't quite see the exact time. Of course, like I said, still plenty of time. You also saw both runners missile through the Pirate's Room in criteria that usually signifies that the runner is going to be going up first, which would imply they are going to Fantoon. No real surprises there, but it doesn't really tell us which route either runner is doing, since either route does Fantoon first optimally. It just says that the runners are both confident in doing the optimal routes for this category. It is also possible to do just old route and still just go to Crocomire and GT on your way to Ridley and Spore Swan on your way to G4, but it is slightly slower because hybrid route is slightly faster than old route. However, for runners who maybe aren't as comfortable with ship first, it is still theoretically faster, since you can lose a lot of time doing ship first if you are losing time at Moat or Fantoon or even just your wreck ship movement. However, it looks like both runners are most likely going to be going up to ship first, so we'll see how those execute. This is a very dangerous part of the game, so we'll see if the runners opt to do any safeties, maybe do some extra farms, or even take a save if they aren't feeling confident in a race setting to go all out into wreck ship. Now, I'm being told that Bomb Chorizo isn't included in all bosses. I actually did not know that, but like I said, it doesn't matter since it can't be skipped. It is not humanly possible. At least not on NTSC. It is technically on PAL, but I don't think any of our runners are on PAL, and the PAL version would still be slower because door transitions are all significantly longer. It adds up to PAL just being slower than NTSC in any category that's longer than like 15 minutes or something like that, even if you skip Bomb Chorizo. I definitely just made that number up, but I challenge anyone to find something that has an actual number. Anyways, both of our runners going up the red tower quite nicely. Kipp already going up to the criteria elevator. Timochun not too far behind, only about 20 or so seconds. You see that, like I said, the new route experience from Kipp really paying off, and Timochun is actually going to take the save, so that could pay off if Kipp takes a death. As Kipp sets up for the CWJ, it looks like he got the setup, but will he get the jump itself? Not quite. That is actually the easier of the two jumps. It is a 2-frame rather than a 1-frame for the first jump, but it is still tricky timing it right after an item menu close. And unfortunately not going to get that backup HBJ either. So this gives Timochun time to catch up. This is one of those time saves, or time sinks I was talking about, where if the moat goes wrong, it can lose you a lot of time. And you see Kipp having a bit of trouble. Both of these tricks, the CWJ and the HBJ, are both very difficult. Looks like Kipp's just going for the HBJ now. And he is going to get it. I didn't see how Timochun got the CWJ setup. Doesn't look like he did. He's just going to go for the HBJ. And he gets it first try, so that's a lot of time saved for Timochun. It reduces Kipp's lead from about 30 or so seconds after the save to about 10. Although now Timochun's having a bit of trouble getting across the ocean, so some of that time is given back to Kipp. Still, it is a very close race so far. And so we will see how Fantoon goes for both of our runners. Now, as you may know, Fantoon has 4 different patterns he can give. He can give a fast pattern, a mid pattern, or a slow pattern. He can also either close his eye quickly, or he can have a fast eye close, mid eye close, or slow eye close. And if his eye closes before you're able to hit him, he can do a fast, mid, or slow reappear. Now, as I was trying to explain it, Kipp has already finished Fantoon. I believe that was a fast 2-round with the Doppler strat. Very nice execution. Timochun unfortunately did not get a chance as Fantoon gave him a slow, but we'll see how good his Fantoon fight is. Looks like he's going to get a fast second round and do a nice air Doppler. So looking like he's going to set up for a 3-round Fantoon. Gets another fast. Do another air Doppler, and he is also done with Fantoon. Very nice Fantoon fights from both of our runners. And like I said, that time sink of Fantoon, neither runner really affected by it. A fast mid apparently for Kipp and a slow fast for Timo. Very nice. And so the runners are going to be going up wreck ship to get gravity suit, as well as pick up this nice little super pack that's right here. This is, of course, the fastest super missile to pick up besides early supers, since you normally need 10 to beat the game. You can, of course, do it with 5, but it requires a lot more missiles, which is not worth the time investment of all the fanfares. Kipp having a really nice attic. I didn't really mention it as it was happening, but like I said, his new route experience is definitely paying off here. We'll see how Timochun's attic is. Unfortunately, takes a bit of a hit there, but still gonna have a pretty nice attic here. Takes a bit of damage at the end too, but he's above 120, which is important because these spikes will do 60, and he needs at least 121 in order to make it across with 2 jumps. He might opt to farm for above 180 so he can take an extra hit, but looks like that's what he's doing now, actually. So once again, just a little bit safer for Timochun, maybe not having as much experience with the route, but definitely not anything to laugh at. This is a very dangerous part of the run, and Timochun very smartly takes it as safe as he can. Looks like he's going to get across with just 2 jumps, though. as Kipp picks up his gravity suit at about 1411, 1412-ish. Unfortunately, he did lose a lot of time to the moat. Otherwise, this would actually be a pretty solid time with that Fantoon kill. Not that 1411 isn't a solid time, but Kipp is a very experienced new route runner, and he is definitely capable of getting mid to low 13s. Still, he is doing very well for himself. Timochun gonna be about 40 seconds behind with a 1452 gravity. And we will see what the runners do from here. Like I said, I imagine both runners do the Upper Norfair cleanup and then leave to do Dragon and Kraid. Either order is fine. I believe doing Kraid first is single-digit frames slower, but most runners opt to do it because it's... I don't know, actually. We'll see what happens. Kraid first as in Kraid before Dragon, of course. I don't actually know the timing for Kraid and Dragon, but it's not very significant which one you do first. It really depends on your ammo, because Kraid is a nice source of super missiles, a nice guaranteed source. You can just kill Mini Kraid, fight Kraid with the supers you get from him, and then kill Mini Kraid again for a almost guaranteed 4 super missiles, which, if you're low on super missiles, heading into Meridia or heading into Lower Norfair can be very nice. Of course, you do want about 10 supers entering Meridia in order to have an optimal Batoon kill with the X Factor and 6 super missiles, plus the 2 you need to get to Batoon in the first place. Or 1, I guess. I don't know why I'm thinking 2. Well, I guess you would need a second one to actually leave Kraid's lair, so... yeah, we'll say 2. You see Timochun gonna break the tube. I don't actually know if Kipp did that, but it is slightly faster to break the tube now than to do it as you're entering from the right side. I believe the trigger for breaking the tube is all the way on the left of the room. And also it means you can do a much cleaner entry into Meridia, going back into that room with the tube already broken. Looks like Kipp not going to be picking up Ice Beam. That would be a signal that he is going down to Ridley, picking up Ice Beam and picking up Spazer, which he did neither of. So we are just going to see him pick up Speed and Wave, and then probably leave for Kraid and Dragon. Meanwhile, Timochun also didn't pick up Spazer, so he is most likely going to be doing the same route. No surprises here. This is, I believe, the fastest theoretical route, even though the world record doesn't use it. That is mostly just because Zost is better than most of us and can get world records with a suboptimal route just because he is Zost. Anyways, Kipp going to be heading over to Speed Booster. Recent discovery is that it's actually slightly faster to farm those bugs outside of Speed Booster once before going to Speed and then once after. That is faster than farming them twice afterwards by a few frames. I don't know how recent it is, but runners only started doing it recently. Kipp going to be doing the farms after, though. Not too much of a time loss, but it is a small thing to note. Timochun having a slightly cleaner Bubble Mountain than Kipp did. He did fall a bit, but either way, Kipp is still in a fairly comfortable lead for now, but there's still a lot of time left. Like I said, Dragon, Batoon, Ridley, all still on the table, and those can all lose a lot of time if they go wrong. Particularly Dragon, if you don't get a good opening and good sparks in early, you can be forced to kill Dragon with just ammo if you don't have the health to keep sparking, and that can lose you a lot of time depending on your ammo and how much damage you've done already. Kipp going to be picking up the wave beam, and now he should just be leaving Upper Norfair entirely. Well, Timochun, looks like we're going to have another high five here. I missed the first one, but people in chat were talking about it. We see a high five right in this single chamber at the top of the room. And Kipp is going to be going out of Norfair. Timochun also going to get that wave beam. Of course, he is going to be following in Kipp's footsteps here. Just going to be making his way to the Norfair elevator to go back up. One nice thing about this category is you do have power bombs, so you don't need to go through the Morph Ball maze at the bottom of Bubble Mountain. Timochun only has one power bomb. I imagine we'll actually see him farm the bugs in Frog Speedway, or the frogs. I forget what those enemies are called. I think they're actually just hoppers, but everything in this game's a frog. Actually, he's not going to farm those power bombs. Kind of interesting. And Kipp is going to be going to Meridia first. He did break the tube earlier, it looked like. So, got that nice entry into Meridia. Of course, he does have enough super missiles to get a Botwoon fight. What you want to do for Botwoon is use an X Factor. Each X Factor particle will do 300 damage, and then use 6 more supers, which will do... I believe those also do 300 damage to Botwoon, which will take down his, I believe, exactly 3,000 health. Gonna see Kipp doing the D-Factor strat, using the X-Factor particles in a different spot than you normally would. It is, I believe, slightly faster because you can start shooting faster. And he's going to execute it very well. A 1-round Botwoon. Unless Kipp decides to pick up a safety E-Tank, this might be his last E-Tank of the run. You, of course, only need 3, but many runners opt to do 4 just for extra safety, especially in a race setting. Kipp can opt to either pick up the Kraid E-Tank or the Ridley E-Tank. It looks like Timochun also going to Meridia first. So we'll see how he can execute. He's also going to go for the D-Factor strat. And he's also going to get a 1-round. Very nice. Both of our runners are having very solid runs right now. Of course, Kipp is currently in the lead, but this could change very quickly depending on how this fight goes. Kipp going to do the Rain Dance X Factor setup for Dragon, but not going to get the spark. That's really bad because neither of those X Factor particles actually hit Dragon, so he has completely botched the opening, and our fears may be coming true here. Kipp will now need to do the fight, get as many sparks as he can. One thing to note, that Kipp got the full halfie, which of course saves a lot of time over Timochun, who did not, but also loses him a lot of health. So in this situation, that health loss is actually very detrimental to him, since he can't really risk doing any more sparks. So if Timochun can have a clean Dragon fight, this can be very big for him. Of course, you may think that Dragon is very low due to the color of her belly, but she actually changes to a completely red belly at about half HP, so it's a bit misleading. Not sure how much health she actually has. And Kipp is not getting friendly drops, only getting missiles. We see Timochun going for the more standard X Factor opening and getting it very nicely. If he lands this last spark, this might be a 3-spark Dragon. And he does. And Timochun is now in the lead. Takes a bit of chain damage, but he's still got plenty of HP and has that blue suit, which will allow him to spark back across the Coliseum. This is very good for Timochun. And Kipp is finally going to take down Dragon. Not gonna get that Shine Spark, unfortunately, so he is just gonna have to jump across Coliseum. Luckily, he is picking up Space Jump, so it won't be too bad. We'll see if he is able to get the Womple Jump, which saves about a second, or if he bonks that little platform at the beginning. But yeah, what was about a 40 or so second lead for Kipp entering Dragon is now close to a 20-second lead for Timochun. So we'll see how long he can keep this. Like I said, there's some route unique movement coming up soon for both runners. So we'll see if Kipp can gain time back there. But for the time being, it is Timochun in the lead. Both runners, of course, going to get Plasma. Plasma Beam is able to kill Ridley and Mother Brain very fast, as well as being able to one-shot Crocomire and Spore Spawn, and is the fastest method of killing GT, Gold Chorizo. So it is very fast in this category, especially. Like I said, just because of Plasma Beam, this hybrid route is actually about 30 seconds faster than the more similar to new route, world record route from Zoast. And Timochun misses one of the pirates in this room, but he's able to get it, no problem. Got a nice little high five in this door transition. I'd imagine the high fives are just going to keep coming with how close the runners are. We'll see if Kipp can have a cleaner plasma room. Timochun actually struggled a bit with killing all the pirates. Looks like Kipp's going to struggle a bit as well, but not going to be too much trouble. Kipp's health is also looking a little bit better than Timochun's health, and they both have fairly similar ammo, so in terms of resources, Kipp is a bit better off, and so we'll see how Timochun handles it. Depends on Kraid. They still have to fight Kraid, of course, so the drops from Kraid can be a very nice asset for Timo. Unfortunately, he missed a super missile, but with Plasma Beam, having super missiles is not very important for Ridley, as long as he has the one in order to actually get to the Metal Pirates from Wasteland. I'll have to see exactly how far Timochun is ahead. I think it's still about 20 seconds, maybe a little bit more than that, actually. We'll see when each runner gets Varia. So coming up on Kraid, they can lose a little bit of time here if they miss the Kraid quick kill. I don't imagine we'll see either runner miss it, but it is still a thing that happens to some people. Definitely feels bad, but it happens. Timo not getting a clean setup for it. We'll see what he opts to do here. And he is actually going to miss it, so we'll see how fast Kraid opens his mouth after he stands up, because he can delay very long. Luckily, with that Plasma Beam, Timochun is actually to kill him in one extra shot, but that is a lot of his lead gone, as Kipp gets the quick kill at about the same time that Timochun gets that stand-up kill. And Timo actually, I think, looked away, didn't actually shoot the Various suit, so he couldn't pick it up, and that gives Kipp about a second lead here. So we will see if Kipp can hold on to this lead. There is still plenty of time left. A lot of execution and some fairly tricky boss fights. Mostly just Ridley at this point, but the other boss fights are there. You can't forget about them. Looks like both runners are going to be doing 3 tank. I imagine both runners are watching the restream, so they can see that. They can see how close it is. Timochun actually takes a slight lead due to better movement leaving Kraid's lair. And with how close this is, I imagine both runners are going to be foregoing as much safeties as they can in order to stay as fast as possible. So we're going to have a very interesting race on our hands. Both runners going to be going all out to stay ahead of the other in a race this close. I do think Kipp is favorite here just because I believe he has the better any percent time. I think his slower Norfair execution is probably going to be better, but we will see. Kipp catching up a little there, having a better ice entrance room. Looks like neither runner... Actually, it looks like Kipp did get the moonfall down that room, but didn't quite get into the door. Usually need to morph in order to get into that doorway. Oh no, that's very bad for Timochun. He's going to need to back up all the way here in order to break these speed blocks. And that's a nice lead for Kipp now. Made it all the way through those speed blocks and is going to be onto Crocomire a bit earlier. Crocomire E-Tank is actually probably the fastest E-Tank in this category to pick up if you need a safety, since it only costs the item fanfare. There is no door transition involved. We'll see if either runner decides to pick it up. Doesn't look like it. Yeah, you see about a 10-second lead for Kipp now, I think. We'll see exactly when both runners leave Crocomire. Of course, Crocomire is officially dead when his drops appear, so the runners can't leave the room until then, of course, but that is something to note. Kipp leaving the room at about 32:11. Timochun looks like it's going to be about 32:20. So close. A little bit less than 10 seconds for Kipp right now. You see both runners having full health after picking up the Kraid and Crocomire health drops. No refill needed today. Kipp missing the D-boost, the chronic boost, so gonna go for a backup, which is quite a bit slower actually. Well, Timochun actually misses the door, so he's also going to miss the boost. Either runner going to come better off for wear there. Interestingly, neither runner doing the boost off of the Namahe Flame. That does 50 damage instead of the very little damage the Viola does, but... Or is that a multi-Viola? I don't remember the difference. Somebody probably knows, though. Either way, the runners don't want to take that damage. And now we are coming on to the green gate glitch. Neither runner is going to save. Kipp having a bit of trouble, actually. Gonna get it 5th try. We'll see when Timochun gets it. It is faster to do the gate glitch in this category instead of going the normal route. Timochun also gonna get a 5th try, but he got those shots off a lot faster than Kipp did. And now we are on to Gold Chorizo for Kipp. Now, Gold Chorizo has a nice spot on his front foot there where he cannot hit you with any attacks, and you can actually double hit him with plasma. So you can just sit here, shoot directly up, and kill Gold Chorizo very quickly. I imagine we see Timochun do the same. And I imagine we see both runners pick up screw attack. It is technically slower because of the item fanfare, but it allows you to do the lower Norfair rooms slightly faster, more importantly, slightly safer. So I think it actually ends up saving a bit of time just due to screw attack being a nice luxury item, depending on if they have to menu to turn screw attack off at Turian. It's also actually slightly faster to jump up this room instead of sparking up. It's the crash animation is deceptively long, and so that's a nice little thing for Timochun. Both runners, actually Timochun gets hit in the door transition, not going to be able to get the nice fast pillar setup, but it's going to set up in this room and is going to get it. He still has one super missile. Kipp actually farmed some more super missiles in the room, the Ripper room before GT, the gate glitch room. But Timochun has the one he needs, so he is just fine. You see the screw attack. Being real nice for Kipp. He is able to just screw attack through all of the enemies. He's actually just gonna use the plasma shot to deboost, or not deboost, create, I don't know, how do I explain that? The enemies aren't tangible while plasma beam's touching them, so he can use that to just run through the enemy. Kipp also getting a really nice Metal Pirates room, gets the nice setup to do 2 shots and exit the room very quickly. Timochun does need to be careful to not waste this super missile. If he somehow KOs, then he is going to lose a lot of time trying to find another super missile drop. But he's just fine. Kipp, meanwhile, onto Ridley. Looks like he got a nice opening. Meanwhile, Timochun not too far behind. But Kipp has a pretty comfortable lead, actually, due to better movement through lower Norfair. And, of course, that Kraid quick kill making up about... It was actually a lot of time, because Timochun spent a lot of time before Kraid actually stood up, so it might be close to like 20-25 seconds, potentially, that Kipp made up on that quick kill. And with Ridley down, most of the big time sinks are done for both runners, so it's just down to execution. The biggest one left is probably Baby Skip. That can lose you a good amount of time if you miss it, but that won't be coming up for a bit. Timochun having a bit of trouble finishing off Ridley, but he should be very close to dead. I think he's dead now. Not totally sure how far ahead Kipp is now, but it is definitely his race to lose at this point. Despite the Dragon and Moat shenanigans, Kipp is having a very solid run. Now it's just the biggest time save of the run, remembering Spore Spawn. Not too much to say here. This area is usually very dangerous, the lower Norfair escape. Especially in New Route when you don't have Plasma Beam. In Old Route, it's a lot safer because of Plasma Beam, and in this route, it's even safer because you also have the Screw Attack, so the enemies here, while they do a lot of damage, are very rarely a threat to you. You can see Timochun using that Plasma to make it through the enemies. Going to be using Screw Attack in this room to go a little bit faster. You don't need to hold a pseudo screw in order to pass through some of those obstacles. Screw Attack, of course, Helps mostly in this Three Musketeers room, since he doesn't need to do anything to the Three Musketeers. He can just screw attack right through them, which you're going to see him do. You saw Kipp do it earlier, of course. And Kipp now has a very solid lead. Like I said, this is definitely his race to lose, but there is still time to lose. You see Kipp not going up the tube like you might see in other categories, or up past the broken tube, I should say, since he does need to go to Spore Spawn. So we are going to be seeing him go back to Pink Brinstar through the normal exit, the bridge there, the run bridge. Yeah, Timochun is about 50 or so seconds behind, so it's going to be very tough for him. I believe the most common name for that room is Noob Bridge. I'm not a huge fan of the name, so I usually call it Run Bridge, but the bridge. It's a bridge. I'm not really sure what the point of that bridge actually is canonically. It's just a bridge to nothing. Or rather, a bridge over nothing. But I'm not here to judge the architects of Zebus. I'm here to judge the runners. And Kipp is having a very solid run. So is Timochun, of course. Both runners having a few hiccups, but very solid runs from both. And so Spore Spawn is able to be one shot with the Plasma Beam. He has, I believe, 960 health. And Plasma normally does, or the fully charged beam combo normally does 900, but charge shots do double damage to Spore Spawn, so it does 1800. So he is able to one-shot Spore Spawn. And also, Spore Spawn's death flag is actually set as he dies instead of when his drops appear, so you are able to leave as soon as you deal the killing blow, which you saw Kipp do there by opening the door before Spore Spawn was even dead, and then jumping through right after the shot was fired. You see, this bit of movement here from Kipp is a little bit unique. You have to actually practice this because this is the only major... Well, maybe this isn't a major category, but this is definitely the only category in the tournament that goes to Turian from Green Brinstar. There's a couple other meme categories, but neither one is particularly run. So there's some unique movement there, which you saw Kipp doing very well. Timochun also going to defeat Spore Spawn. And he is going to be heading to G4 as well. Not too much to say here at the moment. Kipp just waiting for the statues to break as he does whatever he does while there is a break in the action. Get a cup of coffee. Have a Kit Kat. I know he's a big fan of those. And he is going to menu to turn off Screw Attack, so you can do the Zeb skip without turning off Screw Attack. There's a couple different ways that you can. You can either do the Speed Zeb skip, the Down Back Ice Zeb skip, or you can even do the more recent Spring Ball Zeb skip, doing the skip off the second Zeb, but the runners don't have enough ammo to do that one. So turning off Screw Attack gives you access to the easiest version of the Zeb skip, which you can't do with Screw Attack equipped. So if you are planning on doing that, you will need to turn Screw Attack off. I'll explain that a bit more once we get to Zeb skip. For now, Kipp flying through these Metroid rooms does need a couple more super missiles Technically 20 and 9 would be fine, but if he doesn't get a super missile here, he will have to refill. Luckily, he does get the 2 he needs and is going to enter with a full 20-10. And now we are on to the baby skip. Looks like Timochun also menued to turn off screw attack, it looked like. We'll get confirmation of that in a second once he does a spin jump. Eventually. Yep, looks like he did. Now Kipp onto this baby skip. Like I said, this is the last major time loss of the run if he misses it. Doesn't look like he's going to, though. Gets a really nice 6 jump baby skip, and he is going to be going on to Mother Brain. So at this point, the only hope for Timochun is that Kipp gets hit by a Rainbow Beam during Mother Brain 2, or somehow misses a lot of ammo due to turret interference in Mother Brain 1. We're, of course, hoping that doesn't happen. We want to see both runners finish. And there you see Kipp doing that easier Zeb skip that I said wouldn't be possible with Spring Ball. You just do a little spin jump into the Zeb that you freeze, or into the Rinka that you freeze right below the Zeb. It will clip you slightly into the wall. If you have Screw Attack equipped, you do not clip slightly into the wall. You have to do a down back in order to get that same clip from the Rinka, which is a bit trickier if you aren't used to it. Although I think Kipp is used to it. He just wanted to have the extra safety. Or, I guess, more accurately, the easier execution. Which, there's no problem with that. He is pretty comfortably ahead at this point. And it is just down to Mother Brain 2. Luckily, this is only a 20-shot Mother Brain. So, yep, he plays it real safe there as he knew the catch-up was about to be shot. Slows down his shots and just focuses on dodging the attacks, and he is going to be done with Mother Brain 2. Timochun, meanwhile, actually didn't get enough super drops from the Metroids. Looks like he only got 7. So while he does get the baby skip, he still needs to go back and refill, which is a pretty significant time loss. But fortunately for him, at this point, it looks like it doesn't matter. Kipp is all but home free at this point. It is all over but the ship taking off. Timochun going to be entering with 20 and 6 into Mother Brain 1. Technically, you need either 15 missiles and 7 supers or 18 missiles and 6 supers in 90% categories like these. There's a couple different ammo combinations, but in short, you need 6 shots to break the glass, which you normally will see with missiles, and then you need... Oh no! Timochun got one of his super missiles sniped, and I believe that is a soft lock. Well, not a soft lock, because he can die, but he cannot defeat Mother Brain 1, and since the door behind the room where you encounter the baby Metroid is locked, he cannot refill his ammo without major glitches, so he is just forced to take the death, and he is going to forfeit. Real rough from Timochun. He was having a very solid race, even ahead for a while against Kipp, one of the top runners. But now, assuming Kipp doesn't have a stroke and die during the escape, this is going to be Kipp moving on to 2-0 in the multi-category tournament. Of course, Timochun having a very rough schedule facing Kipp is not easy. He is still going to be 1-1 though, so there's still time for him to make the playoffs. I believe top 16 are making playoffs, so if it's anything like the last multi-category tournament, then most runners who get 4 wins or better will be moving on to playoffs. So there's still plenty of races for Timochun to win. You shouldn't be too worried. Kipp, however, going to be moving to that top bracket of 2-0 runners. I believe there's going to be 15 after this week is done. I'm not totally sure how it'll work with an odd number. I believe one of them will have to face a lower seed. But enough about the tournament structure, as Kipp is going to finish. We'll see if he gets sub 50. Looks like he's going to, according to SRL, as he dot duns with an official time of 49 minutes and 59 seconds. GG to Kipp. See if we can get either runner in for an interview. And it looks like we do have our victorious runner, Kipp. How are you feeling after that one?
Hey, Derp. Feeling okay. Obviously, there was a few catastrophes in there, but always good to get a win in the victory column. Obviously, in a one-run scenario against a lot of good runners in this tournament, anything can happen. So I'm happy to get a win and move on.
And I guess the same to Timochun, who's also joining us. How are you feeling after that one? You here? All right, I guess while we wait for him to figure out his mic situation, I can make fun of Kipp for his mistakes for a second. You know, that Dragon fight definitely turned out really rough. What were your thoughts going through that?
Yeah, I mentioned in commentary a few times leading up this week about how Dragon can get out of control really fast, and I messed up like I think one input or something on the initial short charge, which kind of blew up the whole thing. And then after that, it got a little awkward, and I didn't want to lose the entire race on a chain damage situation, especially after the Rando League finals. So I opted to go for ammo and not do any more short charges, but it took a long time. She didn't give me a lot of drops, and it can be pretty awkward. So, but be careful, Derp. Don't make fun of me too bad. I'm pretty sure this time is still better than your PB, right?
You could say that.
You just nice race.
All right, sounds like we have Timochun here, so I
What's up?
once again ask, how are you feeling after that one? I know you took an unfortunate death at the end, but how are you feeling about your performance up until?
I'm feeling pretty good. I think my early game was pretty nice. Got first try bomb jump and a really good Fantoon fight. And then it was, for this category, for me, it was a pretty good run actually. At the end, it happens sometimes. That's just how the game is.
Yeah, of course. I do kind of want to talk about the early game. Both of you having really nice Dragon fights. I think, Kipp, you mentioned in chat that you would be ahead of your splits had the moat gone a little bit better. So
Yeah.
how are you feeling about that?
You mean Fantoon, right?
Yeah, Fantoon.
Yeah, so my early game actually was from start to power bombs was a gold by like 5 seconds, which that's the best start I've ever had, doing a run of this category. And so I felt really good, and honestly, wreck ship went really well for me too. The only thing that was a problem was I think I fell in the moat 3 times. If I'd have gotten the CWJ on the first try, I would have been pretty significantly ahead of my PB. But in the end, it doesn't really matter because obviously the whole thing kind of fell apart later in the run anyway. But it was a run of ups and downs. I played really well in some spots and then just had some catastrophes happen. But Timo, good game, man. That was a lot of fun, and we were real close there for a while.
Good games, dude.
Yeah, so I just want to know your guys' thoughts on the category in general. How do you feel about all bosses in just as a category and being in the multi-category tournament?
Timo, I'll let you start.
Yeah, I just learned this category specifically for this tournament, so it was a little bit new. I think it's fun. I really hate Green Gate Glitch though. I was so happy after I got it. Other than that, this run is pretty cool actually. It's just hard to not forget any bosses.
Yeah, I'll mirror that too. I think it's cool that we've got this in the tournament. Obviously, one of my favorite things about the multi-category tournament, especially if you look back to the one we had in 2018, is you got a ton of people running a lot of different categories and updating a lot of their PBs from different categories they haven't run in a while. So it's always neat to see the leaderboard change, and I'm sure we'll see some movement on this particular category's official, leaderboard as more people get into it and run it for the tournament. But yeah, this is a great tournament. I'm really excited to participate. I really like being challenged with not knowing exactly what you're going to run and having to adjust on the fly. And Derp, I will tell you this: I don't know how the seeding is going to work out in the next round. And obviously you still have your race later today, but I'll make this promise right now. Okay. Normally I would be thinking about like how I would pick a category to veto to like take a strength away from my opponent. But if for some reason you and I end up facing each other in the next round, I promise you that I'll be willing to run bingo.
I like the sound of that. I guess that is more motivation for myself to win. I believe I'm racing later tonight, so there's a couple more races happening today. One at 4 and I believe 2 at 8 p.m. Eastern time, of course. One of those is going to be myself versus Sign-In, but we'll talk about that a bit later. I just want to get one last comment from y'all about how you feel about the tournament as a whole and what you think you are going to be able to do in the tournament, I suppose.
Well, for me, it's like I run pretty much only any percent, so it's really good for me now that I have to learn every other category, and some of them are really fun. I never did GT Classic before. I learned it before the tournament. It was really fun. And it seems like for next week I will have to learn reverse boss order, so it's cool to see what the game has to offer other than any percent.
Yeah, I'm very happy with the tournament. I've really enjoyed watching all the races. I've watched as many as possible, and I've tried to commentate as many as I can too. Always good to spend time with people in the community. Obviously these are competitions, but it's really more fun than anything else. I think everybody's having a good time and sort of the fellowship behind it. But I love the multi-category tournament more than anything else, just because you have to be on your toes about every category. And it's really fun to see people, run things and race things that you don't see quite as often. So I'm an organizer for this year's tournament, and I'm really pleased with the rest of the organizers. We worked really hard to come up with what I feel is a really strong system for everybody, and it should lead to some hype races, especially too when we get to the playoffs. I think that'll be fun. So anyway, GG. Thank you again, Timo, for being willing to schedule around my crazy week. I appreciate it, man. Good luck for the rest of the tournament. Thank you, Derp. I appreciate you doing commentary, and thanks to everybody who watched out there.
Yeah, everyone, of course, be sure to follow our lovely runners, Kipp and Timochun. Is the command working? Maybe it's not. Doesn't look like it is. That's unfortunate. But regardless, go ahead and follow. Search out Kipp and Timochun's Twitch and hit them with a follow. You can also follow me if you really want. Unfortunately, like I said, Lunares wasn't able to make it, so you can follow him anyways. I don't think he actually has a Twitch, but he is going to be casting later today at 8 p.m. Eastern, one of the 2 races. So I believe that's going to do it for us, unless anyone has anything left to add. Doesn't look like it, so we will see you next mission. That would be in 2 hours for those of you who weren't paying attention.